So your pop-up failed. What's next? Aloha, beautiful lovelies. So in today's video, we're going over the results from my very first pop-up and what I plan moving forward. Let's go over my very first pop-up. It didn't go as well as I really wanted it to go, but I did have some sales, which is really good. I'm gonna insert some footage of me at the event as well as how my table looked. I had a general idea of how I wanted my table to look, and I felt like the execution was okay. I do know moving forward, for my next event, I want to really invest in the signage and how I have things signed. So it's not just on the whiteboard, but items are actually very clear. And by my next pop-up, I should have some other products outside of just my core candle lines. I should have some soap available, some lip and body products available as well, going into January as well as February. So let's go over placement. Placement in this particular event was towards the very back of the facility that was further away from the direct traffic at the event. So the natural flow for that event was that the people were coming into the venue and then they would just walk along that first set of vendors going straight over to the feature, which were pictures and gifts for the kids, which I don't blame them. I definitely would be doing the same. Where it differed from how I've experienced fairs, like as a consumer and like seeing how they were interacting, there weren't as many of those people also then walking around to see what all vendors were there, specifically like in the back two rows in the back corner, unless they were heading back to use the restroom or something like that. So there wasn't that much traffic in my opinion, simply based off of experiences that I've had. So the traffic for that particular event really came down to a couple of things. One, the date. So it was the weekend before, or the Sunday before Christmas. The area just wasn't as popping as it can be. So in my particular area where I was in the bottoms, the biggest time of the month for always to go there is the first weekend, because it's a really big event. They really build it up and people come from all over to check out the different antiques and shops and food and things that are going on in the West Bottoms. Now, that's not to say that other weekends aren't also fun and have clients coming through, because I was one of those people for sure that would typically come through the West Bottoms, not on a first weekend, but throughout the month. However, there are a lot of shops that aren't open during that time either, because the traffic isn't as great outside of that first weekend format. And secondly, it was also on a Sunday, which out of the 3 days of the weekend is the slowest of the 3 days. So I did have that going against me going into it, and I did know that. So my thought process going into it really wasn't that I was going to bust out the park and sell out. That's not what my thought process was at all, even though it would have been cool. It would have been great, you know, after hearing like all these other stories in the candle groups and things like that of people just hitting the ground running and just selling straight out. But that's okay. Everyone's journey is different, and it's going to be different based off of your area, based on what is available to you and everything along those lines. So what's next? Well, while I was at the event, I did get some really good feedback from the people that did shop from my display, as well as from the other vendors that were there about my product, what I had going, what I had to offer, and it was really good feedback that I had. Everyone really loved the scents that I have, and everyone was really, really interested in the concrete vessels as well as the concrete trays that I created. I really liked that ability to talk to people about my creations and what goes into them, why they're different, and really getting that hands-on experience from them about what they liked and what they naturally gravitated to on the table. And even throughout the event, I adjusted my table, I think 3, maybe 4 times to continue to like play around with it and get a better feel for what I thought flowed really well based off of what people were looking at first, where they were coming from, how they were looking at the table, how they were approaching the table, and really taking it from there. So next time, I'm definitely going to be shaping up my signage that I have available for the customers to look at. Secondly, I'm going to have a bit more variety available outside of just the candles that will fully represent my brand, which isn't necessarily a plus or minus for previous one, but that's what I'm doing moving forward. And then third is I'm definitely really going to be digging into the events that I align myself with and the dates and times around them based off of the traffic, because I really didn't do as much research into the traffic that that event was anticipating before signing up for it. But I did learn a lot from it, so I don't regret it by any means, and I did make the money back from that event. So in that aspect, it was really good. And another change that from this time to next is I'll actually just come with my own table. So in this particular event, they marketed it where they would be providing you a table and chair. Now, the table that was provided was a round table, and there's nothing wrong with a round table. However, I was definitely not prepared for a round table. I made it work. I made it look approachable and really good. But really my setup and the way I had my setup in my mind was really meant for a flat lay on just on a traditional long rectangular table. So with that in mind, I'll either be bringing my own table, which I do have, it's just a longer table, or I will have a second idea and thought process for how I will merch and organize my table if I go do another event with a round table, because there's definitely some cool things that I could do with it, or even just go no table at all and just have things built out, because I did see a couple of spaces that were that way and they looked really cool. So I did like that. I definitely liked how some of the other vendors set up their areas. So really looking into how I'm setting it up and how I can really catch the eye of people to really draw them in to my table and to my area, even if my area isn't in the most prized zone of the event. Other thing is getting there extra early. So in the case of my very first event, it was a very interesting morning. I was running behind, and so I didn't get to the event space at the time that I originally wanted to. And even so, the amount of time that the organizer had to set up the event for us, it wasn't that much time. Like the window wasn't a large window of time to set up. And I don't know if that's typical or not. So going forward, definitely keeping that in mind. And alongside that, definitely getting some type of cart or pulley system so that it makes transporting all of the vessels and things a lot easier, because concrete is heavy. It is so heavy. And so having to even bringing it out of my house, I lost my breath several times going up and down all the stairs, carrying everything in smaller loads to bring it back. So I could do that safely for myself, and then doing it at the event, it was tiring, and it was very tiring. So another thing is really making sure that I do have a chair or some way that I can sit down and relax my legs and my body. Not even that I want to sit down for an extended period of time, but having that option to do it at some point would have been nice, because definitely by the end of it, I was exhausted. My back hurt a bit. It'd been a while since I actually been standing for an extensive period of time, and alongside that, I was moving heavy items and organizing heavy items. So really making sure that I do have that option of sitting is super important. With all that in mind, I'm looking for some events in January to sign up for, but I do already have an event in February that I will for sure be doing. And if you're watching the video today and you're wondering how can you get some of these products to try for yourself at home if you're not in the Kansas City area, I am going to open up pre-orders for all of my store starting January 1st. So head on over to my site, join that subscriber list, and be the first to know as soon as the pre-list goes live so that you can order your candles, get it on the list, and be the first to receive your items outside of the Kansas City area. And if you are in the area, check out my socials, Urban Nomad Co. on Instagram and Facebook, so that you can know which pop-ups will be and where will be next. So I hope it's helpful for you, for those of you that may have had a failed pop-up experience to start off and are just wondering where to go next. Really take the wins that you may have had at your event and really put that into the next one. It won't be the end for you unless you let it, especially if you have a good product, people are liking it and are truly enjoying it, then don't give up on it. Don't give up on it and don't give up on yourself. And I hope you continue to pivot. So that's it for today's video, guys, and I will see you later. Bye.